Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films, back again with Merlin. Last time on Merlin, we had the moment of truth. Off in a village, there were these nice village people just doing their thing, when Alexander Siddig came out of nowhere, well, kind of came out of nowhere, he always comes around, to this village to ransack it, basically. And, the villagers had decided enough was enough, so one of the villagers, who happened to be Merlin's mother, made her way to Camelot to, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, just to ask for help from Uther. And Uther was not able to do it, so instead, secretly, Merlin, Arthur, Morgana, and Gwen all went to the village to save them. And yeah, and Merlin's secret was almost revealed to Arthur, which, as we find out, could have been pretty bad. But we really don't know for sure because he didn't tell his secret to Arthur. But yeah, but that was pretty much it. It was a really great episode, and we've got 3 left here in Season 1. So I am curious as to where we are going with this. Let's just go ahead and find out. Once again, this is where I say no spoilers in the comments whatsoever. Just don't. And also, I just remembered, crazy that I forgot about this, but this is also where I say if you want to watch my reaction to this episode of Merlin, you're going to have to go down in the description. This is because of copyright issues, like I've said in the past. So yeah, if you want to watch my 10-minute highlight reaction, it's nice. It's got the footage. It's all nice and cool. You can go down in the description of this video or to the pinned comment of in the comments section. It'll take you to where you can watch just my reaction. It's all nice and good. Then, once you're done with that, you can come on back here and watch the discussion, because it's always good to watch the discussion, right? Right. And so, yeah, with that being said, let's get right into this episode of Merlin. Here we go. Okay, interesting little episode. Maybe not the best one we've ever had, but it was pretty good, I gotta say. Interesting, another test of Arthur's character. Now I want to look. Let me look at the cast real quick. Anhora, yeah, that's exactly how I spelled it. Interesting. First of all, I'm gonna look up what else has this guy been in. Not too much. Not too much, it looks like. And then the guy that played Evan. Not too much either. Okay then. Alright, well, that's fine. Yeah, this is a good episode, definitely. As basically just another test, a test for Arthur to make sure he's still a good dude. I feel like we've had episodes like that, though. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting because we've had, I don't know, for only now to get this like big, like, oh, this is a test of if Arthur is a good man. It's like, well, kind of know that. We kind of do know that because we've seen him be a good man throughout the whole show. Moment of truth, he helped Merlin's village. He helped Merlin's village. He helped Mordred. Yeah, he did that thing in the Poison Chalice to save Merlin. He constantly helps out Merlin. Yeah, I feel like we've had a number of episodes that show how good of a man Arthur really is, but, well, sometimes you just, I guess we just had to deal with his hunting problem. His problem being, he's a hunter. Which, I suppose you could go into an entire debate about hunting. I don't really have a frame of reference on hunting or not because I've never been hunting, and I don't plan on doing that. It's not something that interests me. So yeah, I mean, you could have an entire like ethical debate about hunting, which you could honestly say maybe this episode, goes into that. Maybe this episode goes into that, should you hunt, basically? Should you actually, is hunting ethical? And here, it's not ethical, because you need to be careful what you're fucking killing, because Jesus Christ, it could lay down a curse upon your entire kingdom. So yeah, I'm sure Petey uses that argument. That would be hilarious, actually. That would be hilarious if Petey used that argument against hunting. Holy shit, that would be really funny. Fucking PETA, whatever. Nothing... What the fuck ever. I was gonna say nothing really against PETA, but they did make that shitty Pokemon game. That, like, Pokemon was, like, Black and Blue, where it's, like, it was, like, showing bloodied Pokemon fighting. Fuck that. Come on, guys. But whatever, I mean... They are the people for the ethical treatment of animals, so... They gotta be nice on some level. I don't know. Going off topic. So, you could do an entire debate about hunting and stuff like that. And maybe this was, the episode was trying to do that, basically trying to give an anti-hunting message while also being a anti-killing unicorns message. But I don't know. But it still worked out, I think. So the first thing I wrote down, we've got a ton of notes, so I better power through them. The first thing I wrote down was the unicorn itself. That was kind of interesting. Was not in the episode much. Even at the end there, like the shot that they had of the unicorn, I swear was the exact same shot they had. So I imagine they didn't have that. They didn't use the real horse actor much because, they have to glue a fucking horn onto the top of its head, even just temporarily. So I imagine that's why, it probably is not really feasible to just have a unicorn throughout an entire episode, but they got the shots they needed. And I would imagine, the unicorn that got struck, I imagine the one that falls over is... I would think that was a prop, but then at the, when Merlin was kind of like petting its snout, I guess? Is that the right word? I guess snout. But it was kind of petting its head, as it was dying. It's like, those eyes were still blinking. So maybe that was still the real horse? I can't imagine they actually tipped a fucking horse over. Some of that had to be a prop horse. I don't know. But yeah, so we had the unicorn for a little bit. That was interesting, and, the whole thing of... Because it's interesting, that's... The unicorn is one of those, stereotypical fantasy creatures. So, I actually like that it's not overused in this at all. It's literally just there... kind of just as a plot device to sort of bookend this episode. And it also gets the plot going. I mean, hell, it's like, we had Anhora, the keeper of the unicorns. It's like, yeah, we had him through most of the episode because he's easier. It's easier to put an old guy in a cloak and give him a staff than have a unicorn running around everywhere. So yeah, it was interesting. It worked out. The next thing I wrote down was hunting. Like I said, you can go into a whole debate. I don't really want to go into that too much. I mean, I don't know. Is hunting ethical? It's a rough question, man. It's a rough question. I mean, I don't know. There's all sorts of rules and stuff about hunting, and you hear people that kill these really exotic animals or something. It's like I don't know. I honestly wouldn't think, unless it's like maybe a skunk. Skunks are, well, even then, if a skunk is away from my house, I guess it's okay. I don't know. Pretty much like, I guess I would kind of lean towards, well, you really shouldn't kill, even just for, you shouldn't kill for sport, and, you shouldn't really, I don't want to go like super like, all life is sacred, but I mean, well, see, I can't even say that, because not all life is sacred, because fuck mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are horrible and need to be eradicated from this planet. There's my little mini rant about mosquitoes. I fucking hate mosquitoes, and they serve no purpose to our society. Anyway, hunting. You can go into a whole debate. I'm not really going to go too much further into that. I know I said I wasn't going to go into it, and I started going into it a bit, but yeah. For this show, let's talk about it in terms of this show, I suppose. Should Arthur hunt? Well, he needs to be careful what the hell he's hunting, because he's got some magic stuff to deal with. Don't kill a fucking unicorn. I think that would be the big takeaway. I feel like that's the biggest takeaway, at least. Like, you can find takeaways about hunting, but it's like, at least don't hunt creatures to be magical, basically. Oh. I wrote down the plagues. So yeah, killing the unicorn brings on plagues, and which is interesting. Fucking is, I don't know. On the one hand, it's like, well, that's kind of a dick move. On the other hand, it's like, if someone killed me, I'd want them to fucking suffer. So I guess that makes sense. It's just that unicorns have the power to do that. So that's kind of interesting. It sucks that it does, bring down plagues upon all of Camelot. That sucks. It's specifically it's not going after Arthur specifically, it's making the kingdom suffer, which makes him suffer. That sucks, I will say. And yeah, we had Anhora, the keeper of the unicorns. He was kind of interesting, he was just, and he was really just there to deliver the news of, the plagues and the trials that Arthur would have to face. So, but at the same time, he was kind of in charge of the trials, He was kind of in charge of the trials because he did give Arthur one last chance at the end. So, hold on. Eye itches. Ear itches too. Okay. So yeah. Anhora, he was alright. The curse and the tests, that was interesting. Yeah, and it was a little spooky, when they just go out to this field and everything's just dead immediately. And it is a little spooky, And then when Gwen is trying to get water, and it's just sand. It's like, well, geez, man, this sucks. So, yeah. And then the first test, he spared Evan's life and also gave him the grain. That was interesting, and that makes sense as a actual test. That, and a test that Arthur is a good man. That one made sense. That was interesting. And, it didn't click with me until the show started spelling it out with the music that this was a test by Anhora. So that was interesting because, we have seen in this show... See, that's the nice thing, is that at least with these tests, we do have an understanding of Arthur's character. So maybe this is a good time to, actually do this episode. Because we've all seen Arthur's character throughout the past 10 episodes. We've seen him be a good man, but we've also seen him be a dick. we started off this show with, I was up here calling him Dick Prince Arthur Pendragon, which was funny, but I dropped that name pretty quickly because he was a good guy. My glasses are dirty. I'm sorry. So, we know he's a good guy, but he does have some moments better than others. That's the other thing. So, he is concerned with his people. So, sparing Evan that time and giving him the grain did make sense, and that was a good first test. Okay, I wrote down the rat. I like this little running thing of the rat that's in Arthur's room. That, leaving little rat turds all over, punching through Arthur's boot. That was kind of funny that, they just kind of had this running joke of there's a rat in Arthur's bedroom. And then finally Merlin finds it and he didn't pull any punches. He just magics the shit out of that rat. And then he feeds it to Arthur. Like, what a dick move. And immediately, Arthur's like, something wrong with this. This is weird. What is this? And he's like, oh, it's pork. Like, this is not pork. And it clicks with him that it's rat. And it's just, oh. And you could almost think of that as a test. That, because he made Merlin eat the cooked rat. Ugh. And poor Morgana coming and being like, oh, is there any food? Do you guys have any food? And it's like, yeah, that's unfortunate. It's like everyone got comeuppance in that, except Morgana. Poor girl. It's like, Merlin got Arthur, and then Arthur got him, but then Morgana got him. It's this whole, like, circle of karma, basically. So that was kind of funny. Ugh, gross. And he's like, oh, it's stringy? Ugh. I wrote down the insult, with bring back Evan and having him insult Arthur, to the point of facing him in a duel. It is like Anhora said, it's like, you could have just walked away, man. You just walked away instead of killing him for insulting you. So that is sort of a sign of, he's not a good man. And it is sort of, it is the conflict we often find with Arthur. It is often a conflict that Arthur is a good man through and through, but sometimes he does let his temper get the better of him. And honestly, he does get that from his father. So that's the interesting thing. And we definitely see that with his pride versus his people. Uther would rather let the entire kingdom starve than beg for help from his enemies. Arthur would rather feed his people than let his... Well, he would rather do that than let his people starve. They are very similar. That's the thing. They are very similar with, both of them have this whole pride versus people thing. Uther tends to lean a little bit more towards pride, whereas Arthur leans a little bit more towards people. That is the difference in their characters, which causes conflict between the two of them. So, yeah. So that was interesting, and you could almost think of that as another test. It's just that was just a natural test. That wasn't something that Anhora devised, basically. And then we had the Labyrinth of Gedref, which, honestly, the Labyrinth, it wasn't much. Like, it was really just a maze, honestly, a gigantic maze. And I thought there'd be a bit more to it because that's what the episode is called, but it didn't matter. The point of the Labyrinth was so that Arthur would go through and Merlin would go through, and when Merlin goes through, he gets, trapped basically, and now at the end of the labyrinth at the beach, Arthur has to save him and his people, and that's where the poison goblets come in. Very, very, very Princess Bride, which is good. I like Princess Bride. So that was interesting. And I will say, like, as that scene was going, it's like, okay, there is talks about a remake of Princess Bride, which I'm completely against. I'm very much against the remake of Princess Bride because I just feel like you do not need to do that. And everyone has voiced their disapproval for a Princess Bride remake. But I will say, if you need a Dread Pirate Roberts, I think Arthur is your guy. What is his name? Shit, I don't remember. Will this show me cast? Dang it. I clicked out of the... Oh, Bradley James. Yeah, Bradley James, who plays Arthur. I don't know how old he is now, and I don't know how old Carrie Elways was in The Princess Bride, but honestly, if you want someone who would be a good Wesley, a good Dread Pirate Roberts, I think Bradley James would be really good. That being said, once again, I wholeheartedly believe that you should not remake Princess Bride. So, yeah. Now, if there's ever another character that's like the Dread Pirate Roberts, like Wesley, then I would definitely get Bradley James. I want to see more of his work. I've only seen him in one thing. I might need to look around his IMDb page. Yeah, not the point. So we had the poison goblets. The rules were very strict as opposed to in The Princess Bride. Because in The Princess Bride, he just, well, first off, he poisons both of them, and then that's the whole trick. Spoiler alert, I guess, for Princess Bride if you haven't seen it. Go watch Princess Bride if you haven't seen it. Although they firmly show, I believe. Do they? I don't remember. But, okay. But more on Merlin. It is more, strict with its rules. You have to, only one person can drink from one cup. So Arthur can't just drink both of them. He can only drink from one of the goblets. And only one of them is poison. So the real trick is just figuring out which one is poison. But I will say, I do like the solution that Merlin came up with, which was just put the liquid from one of the glasses into the other and drink all of that. Because then that one is the one that's poisoned, and you will have only drunk from one glass. Very clever. Very, very clever, and that's what Arthur goes with, and he, insists on doing it himself. And he gets him with the whole look over there thing. I thought that was funny. And luckily, it wasn't actually poisoned. It just had a sedative in it. And it proves that Arthur is pure of heart. Because because unicorns are pure of heart. So if you take the life of a unicorn, you must prove that you are also pure of heart so that it's okay, I guess. But also, if you kill a unicorn and you're pure of heart, then the unicorn lives. Kind of got a little muddy around the end there, but I kind of get what they were going for. It's a little odd, but overall I think it works out. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Good little episode. We've got 2 episodes left this season. Like I said last episode, I'm curious if we're going to get a 2-parter for the end of the season, but who knows? We'll have to see. But yeah, this was a good episode. I'm excited to see where we're going for the rest of the season, and obviously for the rest of the show. But yeah, that is pretty much that. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my Merlin reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.